Good evening, everybody. Meeting of the Mashpee Planning Board, Wednesday, May 18th, 2022, the Wacoit Meeting Room, Mashpee Town Hall, 16 Great Neck Road North, Mashpee, Massachusetts, 02649. It is 7 o'clock. We are broadcast live on local channel 18, streamed live on the Town of Mashpee website, www.mashpeema.gov/channel18. I would ask you to join me in the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Second item on the agenda, review of the meeting minutes from May 4th and May 12th. These were sent out ahead of time. I don't know if people had a chance to...
I'd make a motion to approve the minutes of May 4th as presented.
I second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. And, thank you, May 12th.
I motion to approve May 12th as written.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
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 I abstain.
Public discussion, do we have a... Thank you, Evan. Thank you. Lynn Barbie. Oh, thanks, Justin. Sorry.
Good evening. Not that anyone, no, this is Lynn Barbie on 73 Surf Drive. Not that anyone is asked, but I'm glad to tell you that at the April workshop for the LCP, we had 24 people from our stakeholders list and 39 new people who were not originally on the lists. So a total of 63. And at the May meeting, we had 19 of our people on our stakeholder list, plus a new group of 30 people who were not on our list. Of all of these, there were 21 people who were duplicates. So in May, we had a total of 49. In April, we had 63. And we had, over 60 new people show up who we had not specifically done outreach to on the stakeholder list. So I think we should be a little bit, proud of ourselves, but we have still a lot to do. And that's all I wanted to tell you. Thank you.
Lynn, what was the overlap between the two?
So there were a total of 21 people who went to both, who went
Okay.
to April and to May.
Great, thank you.
Right. And most of those were people who were not on the stakeholder list. So in the stakeholder list, there were 9 people who were duplicated for both times. And on the new list, there were 12 people who were duplicated for both times. So there were new people. So, and for those of us who were there, we saw some new faces, and that was very good.
Yeah, good.
So I'm keeping track so we can.
Thanks, Lynn.
Thank you. Alana Doyle.
Hi, everyone. Alana Doyle, Sunset Strip. I first wanted to say congratulations to the new members of our planning board, Mrs. Faulkner and Mr. Richardson. I'd also like to thank Mr. Falone for his impeccable job as chair of this board. There are many issues to be addressed by this board in the coming year and beyond, and now is the time to work towards accomplishing these goals. I hope this board will continue to genuinely listen to all voices in the community when it comes to the ongoing LCP development. Speaking for myself and possibly much of my generation, one of the most pressing issues is the fact that we desperately need new middle-class housing and starter homes added to our inventory. Embedding this idea into the fabric of our local comprehensive plan is widely important. I look forward to future involvement in this process and thank this board for creating many opportunities for community collaboration. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, we have a public hearing in 4 minutes.
Glass.
Committee reports?
All right.
How about that? Cape Cod Commission.
I'm going to defer to the chairman's report on that.
Oh, great, thank you. I didn't really have a report, I just kind of added it to the, I thought it was interesting. If you know more about the maps than I do, which you probably do, feel free to
Well, let's do that now.
add
So,
color. I just thought they were cool.
Yeah, so, and Evan was probably involved in this. The Association to Preserve Cape Cod and the Cape Cod Commission jointly did a project where they kind of looked at land that wasn't restricted by any type of restriction for conservation or historic preservation or anything like that. Wasn't in the flood zone, wasn't in a wetland, and kind of just did a general mapping of these areas for each town as to where would be a good spot to put housing. Housing with infrastructure, different types of housing. And it's in your packet, and it's online at growsmartcapecod.com.
.org, I think.
.org, sorry. growsmartcapecod.org. And you'll see there's different shadings of the map, and then there's a key. And I think purple is priority. So you can go on that website and look at anybody's town for that. There is some things that would have to change to put housing there, like some places would need new zoning. Some places would probably have to get some type of an exemption from a historic district in some towns. But it is looking at our land from a completely different point of view. So that's the update.
Is that private and?
Private.
And town owned land? Oh,
I don't know, actually.
I think it's mostly privately owned. What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, it considers the totality of the parcels in the town. Most of what the town owns is generally held with some sort of conservation restriction on it. I think you can see the areas that are noted on there are generally those ones that are along routes 28, 151, with planned sewer infrastructure at some point in the future or current sewer infrastructure in place. And it exempted those parcels that are, contiguous, wooded areas, don't have any planned future wastewater access, et cetera. So my involvement was really only to discuss methodology for the development of these layers.
Now, is the school property on here?
The school property, like the high school?
No, the Quashnet and,
I don't know. I'd
yeah.
have to look at it.
Like there's some interesting, I think the school properties are on there. So it's just, there's nothing prohibiting us from using town-owned land.
Correct.
But you would have to really look at it from a different point of view, right? You could
Right.
no longer say, oh, that's the school's property. No, you would have to say that's the town's property and, but,
It's really just, it's a planning tool for us to consider
it's a start.
Yeah.
potential
Yeah.
zoning changes, as Mary had alluded to.
And it's much easier to read online.
Yeah, I know, it's too, I got
the
it.
big takeaway is, gee, there's not a lot of priority land on there. That's the huge
Right.
takeaway.
On almost every
Opportunity are
map.
limited, yeah.
Right.
Yeah,
What I don't understand, we have a base that they're not using. I don't understand why Mashpee, Sandwich, Falmouth, and Bourne go to the state, and we can build a lot of houses there. It's all cleared, the land, and I don't understand why we even try to start, we're looking for more jobs to come down here. That'd be an ideal place to put a job that can hire 1,000 people there, and you have the trains to go off the Cape.
You got to get the president back to Mashpee like you did in the 80s
Yeah,
to lobby him.
they come down my neighborhood.
That's right.
We can do that.
But I mean, I don't,
It's a good idea. We should
I mean, if
put
we got
that
all
on
the
the short
towns
list for the
together.
LCP. I
Right.
mean, it's something to think about.
that land is sitting there,
It seems as though it shouldn't be that difficult.
No.
I mean,
Even with
Evan,
the
is there
septic
a
system.
possibility to get a map, a real maps, or should we just go and get our maps to, because I don't know where everything is. I see the purple here.
Yeah, I can print you guys larger copies.
If you go online, Karen, you can blow it up. It's much
I
easier to
did
see
blow it up, and I couldn't really quite see it.
Yeah, I can do that.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, it's 7:10, a little after. So I'm going to open the public hearing. Applicant Marcello Malegny, Forestdale Road LLC, 523 Main Street, map 26, block 6. The applicant requests consideration for approval of a 9-lot definitive subdivision plan of land consisting of approximately 18.05 acres located on Main Street, Route 130, between Nicoletta's Way and Echo Road. We are in receipt of, does everybody have a copy of this?
They do.
Okay.
I went on a note for the board. I sent you a letter by email. I received a follow-up email today. You have the hard copy of that subsequent email. The letter is identical, but they've requested a continuance to June 18 instead of June 1st.
June 15.
Excuse me, June 15th. Apologies.
I make a motion, we continue the public hearing to June 15th at 7:10.
Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Very good. Do we have a motion to close the, oh, we don't close the
No,
leave it
public
open.
hearing? Right. Got it.
We discontinued it.
Thank you.
It seems like they got something going though, huh?
Yes.
Yeah, it's good. That's
Yeah, it'd be good.
good news. You know what, let's finish up committee reports since we started. Community Preservation Committee?
So all of the articles that were before town meeting passed. So good news.
Design Review. That was Joe.
It was Joe. The design review did meet. I don't know what their decision was, however. I'd have to report back later.
All right, Plan Review.
Plan review met and reviewed a new, what was it, like contractor bay facility, similar in the industrial district for cabinet maker and contractor.
Okay.
Approved with conditions. It'll be before the Board of Appeals for a special permit the next month or so.
Environmental Oversight Committee did not meet. Historic District Commission.
Yeah, not me.
Military Civilian Advisory Council, that's Jack.
Yeah.
All right, so we're going to have to reassign those. Okay. New business.
Following the election, I need to submit a signatory page to the Barnstable County Registry of Deeds and the Barnstable Land Court Registry with your signatures on it for when you sign permits, subdivision plans, et cetera. So I'm just going to pass this around. If you could each sign in the appropriate line where your name is indicated.
And then the Oldham Circle.
And the Oldham Circle, when that is all set, Mr. Chair, I have this plan. This is the Oldham Circle taking plan that was approved at town meeting. I'll need your signatures on this Mylar. That'll go to the selectmen thereafter for their signature. I'll put it on the front table.
So was that done at town meeting?
This was approved at town meeting.
So it's the current board that signs it? Okay.
Thank you.
We all gotta sign it?
Yes.
Okay, Dennis.
How you doing?
I'm okay. I'm much better. I could wear this mask for like another day and then
Yeah.
maybe.
That's what I got. Don't press so hard.
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
Excuse me.
I wanted to make sure I put my Yanks in.
It's there, it's there. You got it. Thank you, sir.
All right, old business, status of the LCP update with Weston and Sampson.
It was just me tonight. Weston and Sampson is not participating. I wanted to give the update independently. First, we held our community systems workshop on Saturday. Lynn gave a good breakdown of attendance. I'd say the day was generally successful. I enjoyed the event very much. We captured a lot of great feedback. We made the community systems worksheets for feedback for folks who couldn't attend or who had thoughts thereafter available on the website. So if you know individuals who want to continue to provide feedback or have had a thought or want to continue to participate, if you could direct them to the website and have them either take a photo and email us the document or come bring it into town hall, or I'm going to have a Dropbox set up at the library. We'd be eager to continue taking feedback. But again, I really enjoyed the day, and I look forward to the next workshops, which are again June 11th for the Natural Systems Workshop, and I want to say July 23rd for Built Systems. We'll begin doing the stakeholder engagement and stuff pretty soon to get the ball rolling on those workshops. We want to have a better idea of attendance, I think, as those programs, I think, will need to be more granular in the programming as opposed to more of a high-level roundtable conversation like we'd had before. So I'll be reporting back to you all with that program prior to June 11th. With regard to next steps, if I can just find my paper. There we go. So we discussed having at the June 1st meeting a working session like we've had with other boards and committees and commissions with the Planning Board, which I'd like to follow through on. One is I want to remind you all that you have the existing conditions chapters, and I'd really be interested in obtaining feedback from you. And I'd like to take some time on that June 1st meeting to, really get into the detail of the existing conditions, discuss the data that's going into them, discuss gaps in information. The existing conditions are really only as good as the data available. So we obviously have the census, we have the totality of the literature review that we've made available to our consultants. The town's invested heavily over the years in technical analyses and reports that pertain to like coastal resources and water quality, and so the data is very robust there. There's some great information relative to traffic and transportation that have come from joint efforts with Mass DOT and with the Cape Cod Commission. Other areas are more sparse in the data, so the data, again, is the existing conditions are only as robust as the data available. So we'll need to continue to scrutinize census data and have these discussions with you regarding trends.
Evan, you want that feedback before the June 1st meeting?
Again, I want to keep going through it with you, but it's good to get feedback from you sooner so that we can kind of maybe discuss it together as a group.
Give us a deadline.
The week before June 1st. How about
So
Wednesday,
Wednesday, the 25th.
That would be great. And I will, of course, allow for some flexibility, but it's good to be able to get those comments to the rest of your board members as well.
Okay.
Also on June 1st, we discussed developing a rollout for surveys and a plan for conducting surveys for the LCP. I've provided our consultants with the 2011 survey that was done, as also a couple years ago, we went through that survey and made some edits, so I've discussed that with the consultant as well, with our consultants. Really, we wanted to discuss the concept of the survey methodology. We are intending on doing multiple smaller surveys that get at the elemental chapters and components of the LCP, piece by piece. So we'd want to present to you what the breakdown of each survey would look like, what the intended questions would be, and the rollout for those. So we can kind of have you approve them in their totality or approve them with amendments in one meeting so we can begin getting the word out regarding surveys. The other thing on June 1st is to begin boiling down vision statement with you all. What I've indicated to the consultants is that we think it would be beneficial for, obviously, to take into consideration the current vision statement that was defined in 1998 and kind of assess the status of the vision statement adopted in 98 in comparison to the existing conditions today. So we can kind of tweak at your discretion. That's the direction that I've given them, but obviously we want to have that coming from you. And we'd like to discuss that on June 1st as well. Lastly, for the June 11th workshop, We think that there's going to be a lot to go over on June 1st with everything that I've just described. So I'd like to suggest with your approval to hold another small morning meeting to go over the materials for the June 11th workshop, if that's okay with you. It'll give us a little bit more time to put the program together and not detract from the conversation that I think we need to have on June 1st on all the topics I've just described, if that's okay.
Yeah.
How much time before the 11th would you?
We looked at, I don't think we need a lot of time. I think that Wednesday
I'm
morning
thinking
or
days,
Thursday.
Wednesday, Thursday?
Yeah, the 9 a.m. time slot, if that's okay with you all.
What is the date on that?
That's at your discretion. I'd appeal to whenever. I'm obviously going to be there whenever you tell me, but I think it would be beneficial.
You'll email me, right?
Yeah,
I know that
Do
day.
you want to meet, instead of meeting early on Wednesday night, do you want to meet in the morning on Wednesday? Like at 9 o'clock on June 1st?
That's fine with me. I don't know if anybody else.
No, but what I'm suggesting is that because we have a lot to go over,
Yeah.
I just want to have enough time to produce the materials for the June 11th workshop.
Right.
So I'm suggesting we meet the following week.
You want to meet after
Also-
the 1st?
Yes,
I got you.
specifically to go over the June 11th workshop materials, just as we had for the last one.
Because the 1st may inform that?
Well, not just that the first may inform that, it's just because that's a big agenda.
Yeah, yeah,
It's a big
yeah.
agenda, and it's 2 weeks away. So it gives us
So
just a
do you
little
want
bit
to
more
meet on the
flexibility.
morning of the 8th, Wednesday, the 8th?
That would be great.
June 8th, 9 o'clock?
If that's okay with the board, I will post an agenda.
Sounds good.
Good, everybody?
Yeah.
I also think we should meet the week before at 9 o'clock, too. I think it's too much material to do it in 1 hour.
Oh, okay.
Do- Instead of starting at 6, I think we should just have a morning meeting of like, I don't know, 2.5 hours.
I just need to confirm availability of consultants,
Oh, okay.
which I have not done for that date.
We were starting the June 1st meeting early
6
though,
p.m.,
right?
correct. That was my memory. So I can reach out and get some understanding of their schedules, but if there's a conflict, it would be just me, and I'd really like their participation on that meeting.
I got a question.
So do you want to pencil that in?
Yep.
So it'd be Wednesday, June 1st at 9, and Wednesday, June 8th at
Great.
9.
And they'll be in person. So actually, this might work actually, because,
okay.
yeah, let me get into a little bit further, and I think you'll understand why. 2 things became clear about the last workshop. Business owners are not going to come on 10 a.m. on a Saturday. So I'm working with the chamber on organizing a business roundtable
Right.
to engage the business community specifically on the issues that are contained in the LCP. We'd like to try and get that done on June 1st. So I always try to build out an entire program of the day when the consultants come down for, bang for your buck. So that will probably work at 9 a.m. in the morning if I can try and coordinate the business roundtable later in the afternoon. Similarly, with youth engagement, the kids at the Quashnet School, or is it Coombs? I can't remember. The middle school kids, and then the high schoolers they're really good at describing and talking about things about Mashpee they love and they don't love so much. But when they're kids, when it comes to the technical stuff, they're less adept at it. The individuals we really need to capture and haven't been strongly capturing are their parents. So we're planning on hosting a virtual workshop in coordination with the schools specifically for parents in this regard. And there's a tool called Slido, which I'm not familiar with, but we're going to use that as a means of engagement during the virtual session. You can do surveys and things like that right in a meeting sometime soon. Because as parents in the business community, I think we've really been missing beyond some of the younger population. So those 2 things that are in the works. And that's my update. Any questions? Yes.
Evan, would it be a smart thing to take the 208 survey, take their old results, and then have that same survey redone again, and maybe add things on climate and other issues that are missing? Because I think it would be really helpful to,
I think we certainly need add additional questions for things like climate that were not in the lexicon of public
Yeah.
banking back in
But
in
what about
2007, 2008.
doing it again and tallying the results?
I think we need to assess, just as we had before, my comments about the old survey remain the same. I think we need to assess the questions, provide a little bit of additional context in how some of the questions are framed and proposed, and break them out into smaller components. But certainly, we're going to use the base, we want to draw trends. We want to begin seeing some trends in how the questions are asked. I just want to make sure that the survey is as sound as possible, and is simple and relatively easy for people to understand. I think it's important also to remember that the survey exercise is not really, the methodology isn't like a social science methodology where we're doing a t-test or a regression analysis thereafter. We want to support the conclusions and the findings we obtain from our engagement workshops and support those findings with additional data. So that's really what the intent of the surveys will be. And we're going to be designing the surveys with the board. So we'll be presenting a framework for those surveys on June 1st. And, you'll have more opportunity to amend or make suggestions or tell us to go go through with a different strategy.
On the surveys, are we gonna send out the survey?
I think we will, yes.
Okay,
A paper survey as well as online.
At these things we're having every other week, it's basically the same people.
Yeah.
And we're only gonna get 60, maybe 80.
Yeah.
We gotta get a survey for the whole
Yeah,
town.
we're going to do a paper survey mailed out, and we'll do
Because I
everything
think the
online as
last
well.
one, we got like 680
Something like that.
back on it,
Yeah.
And the first one we did, we got a lot more,
Yeah,
but there was less population though.
indeed. So, yeah, I think we'll plan on doing a paper survey mailed to households as well as, in addition to the technological applications as well.
And one other thing, we're in like third gear. Do you think we should slow down to second gear? This is a lot of work.
It is a lot of
And we're
work.
trying to get everything in like next week, 2 weeks.
Well, I'd say this, we have an 18-month contract with our consultants.
Oh, okay.
So that's the time we have. Our goal is to hopefully have a draft by, the fall. But, we have a little bit of a cushion on our contract. So it's good to stay focused and pressed, but we have a little bit of flexibility if we need it.
Okay.
So Evan, can you send us out the 2011 version of the survey?
Yes,
There was a 2011 version?
yes, there was.
We almost launched it.
Oh, I'm sorry, I thought it was, so it wasn't, it was never
It was
launched.
never issued.
I
Yeah,
gotcha.
but it's almost the same as the 2008.
There was a fair amount of work that was done for updating various chapters of the comprehensive plan, just nothing made it, like the human services chapter was updated, it just never got adopted. So I've sent that chapter to our consultants, but it's still 10 years old.
Right.
So it's due for an update again, but there are trends.
Because the survey you were referencing is the one from 98, right?
Well, we have there was
And that
600
was
plus
reissued.
responses in
That's the
1998.
biggest, yeah.
There was a 2007 survey and then one 5 years later in 2011.
Okay,
Yeah.
got it.
But it never made it past the survey phase.
Right. So if you could send us out what the latest version
I
of
can
the
do that.
survey is that you sent to the
Yes.
consultants. The other thing is, if you're gonna, if you're going to mail out the survey, we might want to only do one survey.
Yeah, we'll have to
Yeah.
discuss this further, but
Yeah.
Like if you only launched it online, you could have by topic.
I think the survey's way we could do it is, if we're gonna do it online, we could do it by chapter, and we could do a paper survey where they're essentially aggregated as one.
Yes.
But each of the chapters would have
Yes.
separate.
So like 5 questions each and rate them 1 to 5,
So,
Yeah. Just because of the postage.
yeah, definitely.
Right?
I know what the mailers cost, so.
Could we put the surveys in town here?
Sure.
People can come and.
Oh, the other thing wanted to mention is that I'm also going to begin community event participation. So Race Amity Day Festival is in a month or so. I'll have a table there and try and
Okay.
capture some engagement there. My intern will be starting in a couple weeks, so he'll be able to participate with me in that regard. So community events that I'm not aware of, that you are aware of, I would love to know about because I want to be there.
Okay.
Saturday morning, go to Heritage Park.
All right.
There's
I'll bring my kids to the
there's a
splash
soccer
pad.
game or a t-ball game or something going on.
Yeah, so, yeah, that's it. I think, yeah, that's the totality of my update.
You're back on. Update on Papaneset Overlay
Oh,
District.
yes. We are looking towards a meeting with Papaneset neighborhood and town staff, building commissioner, board of health, conservation agent, myself, to lay out the groundwork for the issues in Papaneset that, that really need zoning changes more holistically. The middle of June is what we've agreed to, so it'll likely be here in Town Hall. I don't have a firm meeting date set yet, just a general agreement on the week with the neighborhood, but we will be proceeding with those discussions soon. And again, the goal is to work with town staff to isolate the issues and propose potential solutions, and then have that conversation with this board, with the representatives from the neighborhood, along with town staff as well. I'm going to go cottage court first, and then floodplain bylaw first, for a couple of reasons. The cottage court zoning, I've continued to work on. I will be bringing a proposal at some point, but I have had conversations with Willow Bend, and ultimately, they don't believe that the cottage court proposal is going to work for them. So they are not going to be proceeding with me in the development of this bylaw. So that is one outcome. However, I'd still like to focus on this as a potential solution to missing middle housing. Perhaps we could consider the APCC maps as a means to consider locations more holistically with regard to adequate placement of such a housing typology. It'll also allow, I think people are having a hard time separating the concept from the potential impact across the town and having it be just a Willow Bend project. So that was feedback I just received today from Willow Bend. I'm going to keep working on it, but it's going to be simmering on the back burner because the immediate pressing need is amendments to the floodplain bylaws I've indicated to you before to maintain our status in the community rating system. We need to get an article in for July for a town meeting vote in October. So I want to prioritize that and get you a draft by, mid-June so that you can review it and approve it for submission to the select board by the mid-July deadline. I have been engaged with the county's CRS coordinator. She's provided us comment and some general copy on the, not limitations, but there are items that need to be addressed in our current floodplain provisions that I need to assess and build into a draft for your review, scrutiny, and subsequent approval. So I'm going to put cottage court just in the back burner to focus on floodplain because that's the pressing need at the moment.
Did Willow Bend give you any indication of what will work for them on that?
I think there was just like I had said to you all before, what they had been presenting to us was not a cottage court. And so to provide the amount of flexibility in a cottage court bylaw that would work for Willow Bend, you run the risk of potentially incentivizing a much larger building footprint and building type everywhere else. So when I pushed back on the concept a little bit, it just didn't seem like the right tool for them for this particular parcel. So I think it's a strategy we should consider and keep focused on, but make sure that the language itself is flexible, but is consistent with a true cottage court typology. Generally smaller footprints, smaller by design, rental or home ownership, and a package that is not the Willow Bend product. So more to come on that, but again, I want to focus on floodplain.
What about they cleaned that property off of Orchard Road in Quetzalcoatl? There was that house there. Well, I remember that. Was there 6 houses going in there?
The subdivision that you approved the modification to recently?
Yeah.
It went from 5 to 6 building lots, if I remember correctly, yeah.
And we didn't get no affordable out of that, right?
No, it didn't trigger the threshold of the cluster.
All right. Is that part of Willow Bend, or that's outside of Willow Bend, right?
I believe it is part of Willow Bend.
Oh, all right.
Yeah, I thought it was.
But they only added 1 additional building lot, so it only, to their 287 units are allowed, it only added 1 additional to their cap.
So they're still on that.
They have 11 or 12 units left to build, so one thing that Willow Bend had contemplated to me relative to the cluster zoning concept today was that it's my understanding that in the 87 special permit for Willow Bend, there's a provision that allows them to move, to shift the permit area and move units into new areas, so they're thinking they might consider taking the 11 units they have remaining and try to put them on the 5-acre parcel we discussed for cottage court zoning.
Right.
That would bring Willow Bend to build out, essentially.
No,
So-
come to us.
eventually. Anything else, Evan?
That's it for me.
Okay, can I chime in?
Yeah.
I was at the LCB meeting, and my wife, too, first time she ever participated in it. I thought it went very well. A couple of comments. The two microphones that you had roaming around with the long cords, they work great. Every time I go to where I live in Southport, we always have a problem with the non-wired mics. So, and I assume the next meetings will be at the library too?
That's the intention, yes.
Having the 6 tables kind of close together, it became kind of you couldn't hear your own table. There was a little bit too much chatter.
Yeah.
But it kept everybody in the room, so when we reviewed each table, that was good. We're not moving back and forth, but maybe it'd be advantageous to maybe have 4 tables in the room and 2 tables outside and have chairs where you could bring those people in when we go around a review.
I think it's going to be inevitable that our next event will have more participants. I mean, there are more stakeholders for the natural systems conversation that we want to make sure are there. So the likelihood is we'll have to spill out into the conference room and do like you suggest. However, I don't think we'll be able to accommodate less tables in the big room. We do have capacity limitations for our event space.
On the one hand, he's right, but what it did cause is back and forth between the people at the table and the facilitator to make sure that they got the clear statement, and the room was very active.
Yeah.
So made people feel like they were all involved.
Yeah,
I thought
it was good.
I was happy with the day. But we're a lot of lessons being learned about technological needs, audiovisual needs, and acoustics. But noted.
There was another room where I got 2 tables out in the front.
Yeah, the conference room there.
But we could set up there, maybe put like 4 tables there, 4 in the room that we're in.
Yeah, and
then
again,
we like-
also, like I had mentioned at our last meeting, we have the children's library in the room attached to the children's section
But it's
in the
hard to get
conference
them
room.
back together.
It's
in one
difficult to
room.
manage those events, especially because, it's myself and 2 other consultants. Thank you for those who assisted in facilitation. It made a huge difference in the day. But we do want to make sure that, we can keep control of the event as well.
There was a lot of energy in the room, which I
Was.
thought was good.
It was 100% better than at the high school.
Yeah, the high school had challenges that were not anticipated.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And table 1, by the way, was the best table,
Yeah, we heard.
Oh, it was?
right?
Yeah, really, I wanted a bar.
Okay, anything in correspondence that you want to draw our attention to?
It's all standard.
All right.
Notices from adjacent towns.
Maybe education, why do we get notices from Falmouth and Sandwich?
The zoning act requires the special permit granting authorities to notify the abutting towns,
Oh, okay.
planning boards of variances, special permits, subdivisions, anything essentially requiring a public hearing, we get a notice for.
Okay.
You can waive that requirement, but, we haven't done that.
That's good, thank you.
Okay, last on the agenda, reorganization of the board. Nomination and election of chair, vice chair, and clerk. Who is the clerk?
Joe was the clerk.
Joe?
I think.
I nominate Mary Wagner for chair.
Second.
I accept.
Any discussion? I'd like to discuss it. Because I'd like to nominate Mike.
We'll nominate Mike.
Mike Richardson has earned the respect and trust of both residents and town administrators. He's served on a variety of boards and committees, including the Select Board, Finance Committee, Capital Improvement Committee, Affordable Housing Trust, Affordable Housing Committee, and Mashpee Environmental Coalition. Along with being calm and rational, Mike is collaborative, inclusive, and welcoming. We have a lot of work to do between now and next year when we elect a new slate of officers relative to the local comprehensive plan, and it is going to require calm, rational leadership. Dennis, when I spoke to you about potentially Mike, what your thoughts were about Mike being chair.
Point of order, if you're going to nominate Mike, nominate Mike.
Yeah, this is
I
what,
did, well, we
No,
have a
I
discussion.
didn't hear it. I didn't
Oh,
hear
I'd
your
like to
nomination.
nominate Mike for chair of the planning board.
Okay. Is there a second?
Yeah, I'll make a second, just so we have to fight.
Thank you.
Thank you. I'd like to call for the vote.
so be.
I'd like to discuss it.
I'd like to call for the vote. You already discussed it.
No, I
You're sta-
didn't
You're
discuss
starting
it.
to you're starting to talk to Dennis and giving him a hard time.
No, I'm not giving him a hard time. I'd like to explain why.
That- you
I'd
did.
like
Thank you.
I'd like to explain, I'd like someone to
great.
explain how Mike Richardson is not the better choice for chair of this board.
Each one of us has a vote. Each one of us is an
Dennis,
independent vote.
You said you have to support Mary,
Yeah,
was your answer.
yeah, because Mike's
You know,
this
you're-
first year.
you're-
and let him
Yes.
next year.
Mike's got plenty of experience
Not on
chairing
the planning
boards.
board,
Chairing boards he does.
not on the planning board.
And your comment to me was, you want to stop the bickering.
Yeah,
Do
and I
you,
hope
do
it
you,
does.
do you really think,
Well, but you going on like
Let
this
me-
is not gonna stop,
do you
John.
really think Mary Wagan is going to do that
No, but you keep on going
besides
on like
Mike?
this.
Your
You're
choice is
starting
Mike.
trouble already.
Dennis, your choice is
Okay.
Mike
Point
or
of
Yeah,
Mary.
I chose Mary,
Yeah.
so let's
Point
go
of
for the
order, let's
vote.
take the
And that's
vote.
going to stop the bickering.
And, yeah, unless you brought this up to stop bickering already.
Karen, after you were elected, you said you wanted to make things civil.
Yes, I do, John, and I want to say, look, I never criticized you when you excoriated me that time when I was not here to respond. I never came back to you. I've tried to be cordial and considerate of you, but there's been, in my opinion, you've been abusive to Mary. Mary is the most knowledgeable person of anybody in this room.
Aside from the town planner.
Except for perhaps the town planner. But yes, she is. And I think if you are respectful of her, when she doesn't feel like she's walking into a negative force here, and you have been a very negative force toward her, I think you'll be very surprised how kind and nice she can be. Who wants to be involved in something when they walk in here and they're fearful of being attacked? I wouldn't like that. And you've been very hard on her. You have. And you need to give her a chance to show what she has.
Excuse me, let's call a vote.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Let's stop the bickering.
Let's stop the
Thank you.
bickering,
Please
that's
stop
it.
the bickering.
I mean, this is ridiculous.
Yeah. All right,
So let's call the vote.
okay.
Roll call?
Which motion are you entertaining, Mr. Chair? The first motion made was nominating Mary as chair.
First motion
What's the,
to nominate Mary. Is
To
there-
elect Mary.
what's that?
To elect Mary.
Yeah. Yes,
Mike?
No.
Aye.
Karen?
Yes.
No.
Yes. I vote yes.
Vice chair?
I'd like to nominate Karen Faulkner as vice chair.
second,
Mike?
I'm okay with that, I guess. I'm not, the way things are going right now, let's just keep going forward.
Let's hope.
So do you accept the
Yes, I
nomination?
accept the
Okay.
nomination.
Well, we have to take a vote first.
Well, let's-
Mike?
Okay?
Yes.
That's the fight. Sure.
Dennis?
yes.
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 Clerk?
I nominate Mike.
Hell of a guy, Dennis.
I'm not even
It's
sure
either
what.
Dennis or you,
I'm not
Michael,
even
you
sure what the clerk
choose.
does.
You write that thing out once a year, right?
What's that, Dennis?
You have to write that letter once a year, what we did.
Which, the report?
Yeah.
Yeah, but I'll help you with that.
You used to do it, yeah.
Okay, do we have a second? For Mike?
It didn't sound like he wanted to do it.
I'm waiting for someone else to make a choice. I'm not going to nominate myself for that.
If you accept the nomination, I'll second you.
Okay.
Okay, I
What
second the nomination.
exactly is the task for a clerk? Because I don't know.
They're responsible for minutes.
Yeah, there isn't much,
But
there isn't much to it.
The secretary types the
Right.
minutes.
Correct.
So that would be if you were not here and I was not here, Mike would be the chair.
That's what some committees do, is if the chair and the
Yeah.
vice chair is not there, they look to the clerk to chair the meeting. It's
Hasn't
very rare.
happened in the 2 years.
So
I've
we'll
been
call
here.
our meetings at midnight or 1 o'clock in the morning.
Yeah,
What do you think?
You know, we got to get the job done, so if I can get involved and help out from stop to stop, sure.
All right. Second?
Second.
All in favor, Dennis?
Aye.
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 Aye. Very good. Okay, appointment of members to serve on the committees. I guess first would be, do you want to, for those already assigned, do you want to stay on the committees you're on?
I do.
Yes, I do.
So Dennis, you were historic? Chrissy, I hope you're capturing this. Mary, you are,
Community Preservation Committee.
got it. I'm fine staying on Environmental Oversight Committee. They haven't met in months. Design Review, Joe was on that.
I'll do it if somebody would tell me what the details are. I did read about it, but it seems, how often does it meet?
have no idea.
It's dependent on applications, but there's a standing agenda every 2 weeks, but often it's once a month or sometimes less. You could have some weeks where it's, you have a string, but you're generally reviewing site design and signage for special permit projects.
Okay, thank you. I'll take it.
Military Civilian Advisory Council.
That's not for us to.
Yeah, that's a government appointment. I'm not sure how to manage it, because Jack, I think, is technically still appointed to that. We'll have to probably unravel the mechanics of,
Okay.
And it
that
took him,
appointment.
it took us
So-
3 years to get his paperwork processed, so I advise, I don't think it's linked
Leave him there.
to being a planning board member. I just think the planning board took that on.
sure. So I'll report back to
You
you.
know,
on that.
unless there's somebody
Yeah.
that really wants to do it.
I did it one time after the 9/11, and I thought the guy told me to come, and I drove forward. They all come out with machine guns. They told me to stop. I was like, I froze, and I said, I thought you told me to come forward. He goes, I put my hand like this. And he goes, oh. So that was it. I don't want to go in that no more.
Anything else?
Nope.
Well, let's take a vote that those are the appointments.
Oh,
So moved.
second?
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
You didn't get appointed to a committee, but you're the clerk.
Huh?
But you get to be the clerk. All right, anything else?
Would you be our unofficial liaison to the Cape Cod Commission?
I go where?
The Cape Cod Commission, I usually report on what the Cape Cod Commission is doing, but I'm not Ernie Vigilio is the town's representative to the Cape Cod Commission, but they have like this, I don't know if it's a monthly newsletter,
Something like that.
but they do stuff that impact the planning board. So what I tried to do was to keep, abreast of that and bring it to the planning board. Do you want to do that?
The problem is I'm working full-time, so.
Oh, okay.
I can get away sometime, but I'm not sure I can get away on a regular basis.
Then I will
Yeah, that's-
continue that task. I didn't want to make you feel left out.
You all right? You gonna be okay?
Anything else?
Make a motion to adjourn?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.